the 5 things that I teach all of my clients about how to heal yourself naturally from chronic conditions, conditions that modern medicine isn't able to heal. That's what I help people to do. Hi, guys. If you don't know me, my name is Eva. I'm a holistic nutritionist and a spiritual guide, and I help people to get better with their health or with problems with life, with life's challenges. So, how did I end up here? Well, I'm a former professor that became very sick, and my doctor had no answers, the specialist had no answers. So I embarked on a healing journey to heal myself, where I spent many years in India and in Thailand. And I sought out to heal. At the time, I had chronic fatigue. I had issues with my blood sugar. I was diabetic. I had hormonal issues. I had polycystic ovarian syndrome. I had no periods actually for a long time. They stopped. My hormones were completely upside down. And I had IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, and migraines. It was just this never ending health battle. And whenever I went to the doctor, there was no answers other than pain pills, right? And those weren't actually healing me. They were just managing the symptoms. So once I finally figured out how to heal myself after over 10 years of studying, I realized that we're not just the body, that we actually have the mind, the emotions, the spirit, and it's all interacting together to either make us healthy or make us sick. So the first lesson that I teach all of my clients is this concept that we are not just the body. See, this is where modern medicine, as amazing as it is for emergencies and treating the physical body, where they fall short is understanding that the mind and our emotions have just as much power over our health and our well-being as our physical self. So I'm sure you've heard the concept of, oh, we are what we eat, right? But what about our thoughts? Aren't we also what we think? Think about it. If you have positive thoughts, empowering thoughts on a day-to-day basis, how are you going to feel? You're going to feel good. You're going to feel up. You're going to feel excited and ready to go, right? But what about if you have disempowering thoughts? What if you have all these negative thoughts, fearful thoughts, anxious thoughts, angry thoughts? How do those thoughts make you feel, right? They don't make you feel good. They make you feel low. They make you feel tired, or they make you feel like you want to explode. So that's the number one thing to learn and understand, is that even though you may have a physical condition like diabetes or an autoimmune condition, it doesn't matter which sickness, which ailment you have, the fundamentals of healing are all the same. Understanding that you are not just the physical body, that you are also the mind, emotions, spirit, and then there's the concept of energy. You're also energy. Actually, so this is number 2. The idea of energy was actually introduced first by Albert Einstein and is now taught by quantum physics, that everything is energy. Everything in our world, everything in our universe is energy, vibrating at different frequencies. And depending on which frequency it's vibrating at is how it will manifest into the world. So for example, right here, we have this table. This is solid energy. It's wood energy. But then we also have, look at this candle, we have fire, right? And look at this crystal. What about water? What kind of energy is that? It's liquid energy, right? But then what about electricity? You can't see it, you can't feel it, but it's there. What about Wi-Fi? Same thing, you can't see it, you can't feel it, but we know that energy is there, right? So energy is present everywhere and everything, and it affects us. How does it feel, for example, to be around someone that is always cranky or always complaining about something, right? After some time, you don't want to be around them, right? So as human beings, because we're spiritual beings, we have that intuition, we have that ability to sense energy. And if the energy is off-putting, then we don't want to be around that person. But let's say that that person's really positive or shares something in common with you, you're more attracted to that, right? So the concept of energy is the most important concept to understand in order to find balance. Because ideally, in order to heal, you need all of your energy to be in balance. In modern medicine, we refer to this as homeostasis, is for everything to be in perfect balance. And when too many things are out of balance, even when one thing is out of balance, let's take something like your diet or exercise. If your diet is out of balance, eventually it's going to catch up to you, and eventually it's going to cause problems. Or exercise, if you do too much or too little, that also is going to affect your health. Now, same with your thoughts. If you have too many negative thoughts, especially on an ongoing basis, that will eventually make you sick. It'll manifest as different symptoms. For example, I would have never thought that this back pain that I had for many, many years, it would come and go, and I couldn't understand, because it would come at times where I hadn't even exercised, and I was like, what? Like, why is my back hurting? And then after years of studying therapy and implementing what I learned, I realized that the back pain was coming from stress. But the stress was self-created. I was having negative thoughts about myself, about money, about whatever it was that I was stressing about. But those stressful negative thoughts were giving me my back pain. So this is what I mean, that we are not just the physical body. In holistic medicine and especially in the spiritual teachings, we actually have 5 bodies. We have the physical body, which is actually the smallest. Then we have the mental body. We have the emotional body. We have an energetic body. And we also have our soul, the spirit. Okay? So when it comes to healing, you have to look inside all of the different bodies. You have to examine your mind, okay? Am I thinking good thoughts? Am I thinking bad thoughts? What are those bad thoughts that I'm thinking? And remedying that. And these are the things that I teach: how to uncover these negative thoughts, how to remedy them, what are the solutions to deal with these different imbalances, because that's what they are. They're just imbalances, and they have root causes as to why you are a certain way. So don't think that, oh, well, I've been angry all my life, or my dad is he has anger outbursts, so that's why I'm like that. Yes, that's true. That is why you're like that. But you can balance it. You can fix it. You can transform it. How? Well, through watching this video, through reading different books, through taking courses, through going to see therapists. There's many different techniques on how to improve yourself and thereby improve your health. The more you learn how to master your mind and master your thoughts, the better you'll be at mastering your feelings, and you will automatically see your health improve. Now, if you're skeptical and you don't see, well, how do thoughts and how do feelings affect your health, let's look at, for example, have you ever had to go to an interview and you're really nervous? How do you feel, right? How do you feel physically when you feel really nervous? You might feel nauseous, or you might feel like you have to run to the bathroom, right? Or you might start sweating really bad. So these are the perfect examples that your thoughts and your feelings affect your physical body. Okay? So these are very obvious examples where you know that these things are happening because you're nervous, but the same thing goes for anything chronic. Whether it's cancer, whether it's an autoimmune disease, whether it's eczema, skin conditions, there is an aspect outside of the physical body that is contributing to your symptoms. So that's one of the most important things that I teach to all of my clients, is understanding that you are not just the physical body, that you also have a mental, emotional, spiritual presence, and all of these are constantly interacting and either making you feel well or they're making you feel sick. And unfortunately, in modern medicine, this is not evaluated enough. It's only when there is really extreme signs of mental distress, like schizophrenia or bipolar, that then the patient is sent to a psychiatrist, right? For example. But then again, it's not treated naturally. They mostly use pills. But let's not talk about modern medicine. I have deep respect for modern medicine, like I said, in especially in emergency situations. But when it comes to chronic conditions, these are, you are able to heal them naturally without pills, without surgery. Okay. However, I always tell all of my clients, make sure you work with both modern medicine and natural medicine. Don't just go one route and, pray for all the answers to come. No, modern medicine has its benefits and its drawbacks, and same with natural medicine, which is what I teach. Always do both. And even within modern medicine, work with a few doctors, get a second and a third opinion. And with natural medicine, work with different therapists, work with different doctors, because they each have their own specialty and they each are able to teach you something new. Now, I will be discussing on this channel all the different types of therapies, all the different types of natural medicine, because maybe some of you might feel a little bit confused, because there's Chinese traditional medicine, there is homeopathy, there is Ayurveda, which is Indian medicine, there's naturopathic medicine, and they all work, they're all great. But there's different strokes for different folks. So what works for one person might not necessarily work for you, because your root causes or your imbalances in your energy are different. So just because acupuncture worked for one person, it might not work for you, because you don't have that same energetic imbalance. You have something else going on. Okay, so we talked about, number one, that everything is energy, and you have to learn how to identify your own energetic imbalances, whether they're in your mind, whether they're in your feelings, or whether they're in your physical body. Now, how do the physical body correspond in terms of energy? Well, diet, okay, there's sleep, there's exercise, there's even your job, your commute to job, your family, your relationships. All of these impact your physical body, your mental body, your emotional body, depending on how they make you feel, what it involves in your day-to-day life to be doing this. So for example, your job. Do you love your job or do you hate your job? Because if you hate your job, guess what? It can make you sick. But what if you love your job, but you have a super long commute? Let's say you have to commute for an hour every day to your job. Okay, that commute in itself is not imbalance. Ideally, we don't want to commute for longer than half an hour. And actually, there's been a recent research article that I was reading where people who travel more than 40 minutes one way on their commute were 60% likely to have some kind of chronic health condition, and were also 60% more likely to get divorced. Right? Because this commute, it's hard on the body and it takes away from your quality of life. So we want to make sure that everything, again, in life is in balance. So we talked about energy. We talked about the idea of the five bodies. And this brings me back to, I like to teach the five bodies in conjunction with what holistic means. So holistic, as I told you, I'm a holistic nutritionist, and there's holistic medicine. So most people think that holistic means natural, and it does, but that's only about 20% of the meaning. The other 80% of the meaning of holistic actually means whole. Okay? And whole means it pertains to your whole entire life. So you're not just a physical body, you are a whole entire life. You are a whole being. So this is why it's so important when you're trying to heal yourself to look at all the factors within your life to see, where am I out of balance? Where am I not happy? Is it my job? Is it my relationships? Is it my finances? Is it my diet? Is it my emotions? Is there some trauma that happened to me that I haven't dealt with? So all these different things within your life is that contribute to your well-being, or they're making you sick. All right? So it's not about finding the perfect supplement that's going to make you heal. It's not about finding the perfect diet about making you heal. It's about looking at the whole entire picture. What are the root causes? Not what are the symptoms. What are the root causes of those symptoms? Number 3, we talked about the idea of balance, that everything needs to be in a happy balance. And number 4 that I teach, which I just actually gave it away, is the idea that there is no magic cure. There isn't one thing or two things that are always going to work to heal a certain condition. Because if that was the case, then I'd be out of a job. But the reality is that everybody has different reasons for why they got sick in the first place, and everybody needs to find their own path to healing. And your body can heal itself as long as you give it the right tools, which is what I will be teaching you, and you give it the right environment, which I will also be discussing that. So there is no magic cure, even though, let's say, for example, alopecia, which is a condition where all your hair falls out. A famous celebrity that has this is actually Will Smith's wife, Jada Pinkett Smith. That's her name. So she has alopecia. So I've had some cases where alopecia heals just with diet alone. So we cut out certain harmful foods and we introduce some superfoods, anti-inflammatory foods, and the diet alone makes the hair grow back. So it's an issue with the gut. But there's cases of alopecia where just healing the gut alone isn't enough. Why? Because there is also issues up here in the mind. There's a lot of stressful thoughts. There's issues in the feelings. There's a lot of sadness or frustration or a lack of purpose in life. So everybody will get sick for different reasons. And this is why what worked for one person with the same condition will not necessarily work for you. Is that making sense? So This brings me to the fifth lesson that I teach everybody, is that because there's no magic cure, the cure is actually education. Education and taking action. So in order for you to heal, you need to learn how to do that and what it takes and what are the different tools. So one of the best ways to learn nowadays is actually YouTube. There's all these naturopathic doctors and all these different experts on YouTube that you can learn from. Then next, I encourage you to read lots of books. So whatever condition you have, read at least 2 to 3 books on your condition and make sure that they're from different perspectives. So don't just learn from the modern medicine perspective. Make sure that you learn about your condition and read a book that was written by someone from a holistic perspective, or from a Chinese medical perspective, or from an Ayurvedic Indian medicine perspective. So because different perspectives will explain the same thing, but with, let's say, apples instead of oranges. And you may understand the lesson when it's explained in apples, but if the lesson is explained in oranges, it's not going to get through to you. So you have to find your own path, your own way to understand and incorporate the information. But education is not enough. I remember for a long time, I understood what it took to heal, but I wasn't taking action consistently. I would take action for a few days. I would start to feel better. My symptoms would start to go away. And then I would just go back to my old way of living. And then the symptoms would start coming back again. So in order to heal, you got to change yourself and you got to change your life. You got to change the way you are living, because it's your whole life that is making you sick. Okay? Maybe not every aspect of your life, but you got to identify which aspects of your life are out of balance and which aspects of yourself do you need to change. Are you exercising too much, or are you exercising too little? Are you on some kind of extreme limiting diet, or do you not care about diet at all and you're eating total junk? So it's getting that education and figuring out, okay, well, where am I going wrong? Where could I improve? Is that making sense? So this is what holistic medicine is all about. This is what we teach, is identifying, is treating the whole person, not just their physical body and its symptoms. So even though this is actually all very common sense when you start to learn the education behind healing, is even though it's common sense, it's actually not that easy to implement, because you don't know what you don't know. Okay, sometimes you, even though all of the answers are on Google and most of the answers are on YouTube, sometimes you don't even know what question to type in, and you don't know what to ask. This we call in life coaching your blind spot. I think Tony Robbins talks about this is a lot as well. So these blind spots are just things about yourself and about your life that you're not even aware of. So if you want to change your life and you want to heal, it's really important that you work with a professional like myself, or like a naturopathic doctor and a few different therapists. So if you want to change your life and you want to heal from whatever chronic condition that you have, I invite you to go on luxhealth.ca and book a session with me, and I will be delighted to teach you and support you on your healing journey. Do give it a thumbs up and press the subscribe, the little dingy bell button. All right, guys, I'll see you in my next video. Be well. God bless.